Do you ever look at Blood Bowl Season 3 rule sets? Hello everyone, I'm AndyDavo, and let's have a look at tournament rule set review for Season 3. For me, tournament rule sets need to do three things. Number one, they need to be simple. The idea is that people should be able to look at them and it's easy to understand whether you've played 5 tournaments or 500. They also need to be balanced so that the rule set doesn't have obvious edges, because if you have edges, what you tend to find is the same few teams are taken and you get lots of mirror matches, which is a bit boring. And the final one is that the whole rule set should be something that is fun and engaging and that you actually want to go and play it and you feel like you've got lots of choices and lots of options. So this review, I'm almost talking to tournament organisers so that you can understand how you could write your own rule sets. Before I go too much further in the slide deck, I think it's worth me just saying a couple of things. That I am looking at tournament rule sets through a specific lens, which is that you have enough tools to do a lot of stuff and you're not suddenly, relying on luck or probability to dig you out of a hole. So I want a little bit of redundancy in a lot of the things that I'm looking for. So bear that in mind. Now, tournament organisers, as I've just written here, they've got 4 different options to balance their tournament. The first one is how many skills to give a tournament, give each team. The second, how much cash to give a team, because those two go to fundamentally building the team and shaping what you've got. The next one, are we allowing star players? Star players are a little bit like tactical nuclear weapons. So if you allow them, if everyone's got nukes, then they cancel each other out. If only some teams have got nukes, then you be careful. And then the final one is just in general, and I know star players are a type of inducement, but in generally, what type of inducements are you allowing here? Some, any, none? Let's take a classic team, Goblins. If you don't allow them to take any bribes, they're going to be substantially weaker because they've got lots of players with secret weapon than if you allow Goblins to take inducements. Now, I'm going to go and have a look at points 1 and point 2 on this list in great detail throughout this presentation. So let's see what comes up next. So, first point, cash allowance. As I wrote here, during the first, I've been playing for 15 years, and between about 2010 and 2019, flat cash allowance was very common, and I've written, we got 1100 flat. Now, when we saw the 2020 rule set get released, a lot of things went up in cost, and so we see that 1110 flat was moved to around 1150 flat, certainly to start with. Now, we then saw that 1150 became some sort of general medium which people are built around, and then they moved to a little bit lower and a little bit higher in some cases. Now, in 2025, we've seen that teams have had another rework, and the question here is that should 1150 flat be the right benchmark? Should we put it back to 1100, or is there another cash sweet spot? So I'm going to go through all the teams for you, and I'm going to build rosters as I've just written here. I've built 3 rosters for every single team. I've built what would happen if you built everything, what would happen if you took a normal team that's totally fine to play in tournaments, and then what would happen if you scrimped and saved and cut corners, and we went with bare bones. And I think that the point here is that once you see that, you'll see, well, to answer the point in the middle paragraph, what is the correct cash value? Next one, skill allowance. So again, over playing 15 years of Blood Bowl, when I first went to my first few tournaments, NAF Championships in Nottingham, it was one of the very first tournaments I ever went to. Everyone got given 1050, I think, and 6 skills. And what we saw was the same 4 or 5 teams were taken all the time. So once you got towards the top end of the table, where all the Strihard people lived, that's what you saw. Dark Elves, Undead, Lizard Men, I'm sure there was a 4th one, but I remember those 3 being there a lot. And Necromantic was a team that I always used to enjoy, but 6 skills just didn't quite seem to cut it for me. I always felt like I want a 7th or even an 8th skill. So yeah, we then saw tournaments then try and do tiering. And that the idea there is that you try and increase variety. And I've written here that we then see heavy tiering to try and push towards perfect balance. All races. Now, I don't think that anyone has ever managed to get a perfectly balanced tournament. However, a lot of people have tried. And it doesn't even seem to be the large tournaments are sort of safe from this meddling. And we've seen over recent years some of the very largest tournaments try what I can only describe as sort of absolutely out there type ideas. Probably not best for the tournament series. And I think that the larger the tournament, the more of a responsibility it has to build a middle of the road type tournament rules pack, because the large tournaments, you see the little ones mirror the large ones, so you don't want something that's a bit janky and weird. You want something a little bit normal. Now, Games Workshop have also introduced the concept of elite skills into this rule set. Now they're acknowledging there that 4 of the skills, Mighty Blow, Block, Guard and Dodge, are substantially more powerful than all the other skills. Now, the rulebook there recommends that limiting them to 4 of each skill. So you'll see me poke fun at the rulebook all the way through this slide deck. But if elite skills are so strong, was that the right way to go and tackle them? I don't know. Well, I do know, but let's have a look. The next one is inducement access. So inducements should be limited and listed as to what is allowed. Simply, there are 4 inducements that you probably should be allowing as a tournament organizer: Keg, Bribe, Mascot, Weather Mage. There are 3 others that you should be allowing for specific teams. The Chef for Halflings, the Dodgy Lead Rep for Stunties, which was the... and then Riotous Rookies probably for Snotlings and Ogres. There are, as I've written here in white, several other inducements that you can typically allow, but they are absolutely hangovers from league play, and really, as a tournament organiser, you've probably got a social responsibility here to be banning them, not because they're broken, not because they're overpowered, but in fact, because they're underpowered. Don't let anyone take a wandering apothecary, cause they're shite. So just cross them out, because you'll not see anyone actually take them, and if they do take them, they are substantially worse than they should be taking something better. There are 3 things that you could take, that you shouldn't be allowing, which is Wizards, Mercenary Players, and Prayer to Nuffle. Prayer to Nuffle specifically are incredibly powerful in this particular rule set, when they should definitely not be allowed. Right, we're now going to have a quick look at all the different teams. So, my dog is banging on the door. We're going to have a look at Amazon team. So, as promised, Amazon's full team, 1140, is 13 players, which is all of 6 positional, 7 linemen, 3 rerolls, and an Apo. Now, I do class that as the full team. You could even go up to 14 because Amazon's a flimsy, so that would be 1190. But 1140 to 1190 is full team. Acceptable team, 1080. So it's still 13 players. What I've done is I have chopped out the 2 throwers in this particular build, and then still kept with the 3 rerolls in the Apo. You're probably going to want to put a thrower in, swap out a line woman, so acceptable team value could sit slightly higher than that, but the principle is it's still 13 players, 3 rerolls and an Apo, with the 4 key positionals. Going to the other end of the board, you've got a minimalist team, which is 12 players, 3 rerolls, Apo. You could even in theory go lower than that. You could chop down to 2 rerolls or 1 reroll and Apo. So you're going to be really careful when we're talking about introducing star players. So, star player access, absolutely bloody not. Given that star players sit for Amazons somewhere between the 190 and 230 range, you can definitely bend a star player or even a mega star into 1150 builds. So when you're thinking about your cash allocation for Amazons, you want to be on the lower side of things, right? Around the 1100 mark, and you don't want to be giving them star players. Skill points. In the old edition, 6 skill points for Amazons was probably considered about the right thing to do. You did see some tournaments give them 5. I think 5's a bit flimsy and mean. I think 6 is the correct value here, so I don't see any reason to change them. Allowing stacking, absolutely bloody not. The strength 4 warriors, now you can go blodge guard, or as I've written here, break tackle, wrestle on one of the big girls would be very powerful, because break tackle is +2 to dodging, so they become agi 1+ on their dodges, so that's not a bad idea. I'm also going to flag in the bottom left hand corner the elite skill impact to each team. So just to give you a flavour of where I'm going with this is Amazons. I've put some because the two big strength 4 girls are going to probably take block guard or guard. Your 2 blitzers are going to take block and wrestle, so that's 3 elite skills, and then that's it. You're not going to take any other elite skills typically, so it's 3 out of 6. So some Amazons being one of the most powerful teams in the game, only being mildly impacted by the elite skill tax or an elite skill provision seems odd. Right, let's go and look at Black Orcs. So a full team here, 13 players, all the 7 big things, 6 goblins, 3 rerolls, and Apo. I've also bolted a bribe in there because, well, why not? If we're going to go for a full team. An acceptable team, just basically drop the bribe. It's 11.55. Just note that 5k, not 11.50, 11.55. Because if you give them 11.50, they've got to sacrifice down to 12 players, so they're actually going to drop a goblin. Or you're going to drop a reroll, or you're going to drop an Apo, right? But none of those things they're going to want to do. And Black Orcs are not exactly famous for being strong. Minimalist team value, I've actually dropped a goblin here, and you'll see it's 11.10. Next bit, star player access. So they've got a lot of different stars available to them, and I've written here we've got Scrapper down at 120. He's very good because one of the weaknesses of Black Orcs is their inability to move the ball upfield, so he's movement 7. Or you can go for another big thing to add more beef to a beefy team. So yeah, you've got a lot of options. Now I've written here, would replace Troll with Big Star, 1185 is 12 players, 3 rerolls, Apo and Scrapper. Star players with Bullseye are likely to be powerful. So anything that is Ripper based is going to be a problem because he has a very good pass stat and he is effectively a megastar in this edition. So not Morg anymore. We're not talking about Morg, we're talking about things with Bullseye and super strong pass access, because Bullseye means the player lands exactly where you want it to. Don't think of it as though it's for a 1-turning, think of it as though it's a ranged blitz that hits the ball carrier on a 3+ or 4+, right? Mental strong. So Black Orcs are a bit of a meme team, but have access to tools that would make them from meme to broken. Skill points. So I didn't cover this at the beginning. I'm going to cover this with skill points because they're nice and simple to use. Typically, you're going to want a skill on all 6 of the big, the Black Orcs. You're going to put 1 on the Troll. You're going to want to put 1 or 2 on Goblins. So, yeah, I've put around 8. Could be 7, could be 9, somewhere in that region, probably more towards the top end. I also think you're probably going to want some secondary access. So, skill points with free secondary access, i.e., you know, if you're going to give them 8 and 1, that's 8 and a secondary, or you can give them 10 skill points, but it's much easier to balance teams when you give them X and Y, i.e. primary and secondary skill access, because the moment you start introducing the ability to take 2 secondaries and you cost it at 2 skill points per secondary, that's the equivalent of saying you can have 10 primaries, or you can have 6 primaries and 2 secondaries. Don't do that. It's a really bad idea. Just lay it out. Lay out what you mean. Elite skill impact. I'm going to go for some again because block, guard, mighty blow are skills that they absolutely take. They don't have to, but they're going to. So I would think it's between some and a lot. And skill stacking. If you allow them to stack, I think you actually get some interesting teams. So yeah, I wouldn't just say it's yes. In this case, I've written it's 2 or even 3 stacks to allow something interesting to be created. Bretonnians. So you'll notice that I'm starting to do this in alphabetical order. So if you're looking for your favourite team, you can work out where we are in the video and then skip to that team or skip to those teams. So full team is 1150. That's 14 players, all 6 positionals, 8 linemen, 3 rerolls and an Apo. An acceptable team is just let's drop a lineman. That's 1100. And a minimalist team is let's drop another lineman. So we're at 1050. So Bretonnians sit somewhere between 1150 and 1050. Of course, if you want to go star player hunting, you drop rerolls and or Apos underneath that as well, so you could probably argue you can get them around to about 900 if you really tried. Star player access. So Bretonnians can go even lower than 1050 if adding a star. Skrorg specifically is the real problem child in this edition. Zug, Karla and even Ivar are strong, and they cost somewhere between 210 and 240. So while the roster looks garbage without stars, even if they're given lots of skills, I still think these are terrible. I mean, what were GW doing? They have the ability to bolt a star player in, and suddenly they look pretty good. So the way I've written the rest of this slide is to say, look, if you're going to give them star player access, you need to give them very few skills. If you're not going to give them star player access, they need an absolute shed load of skills, because the roster itself is rubbish. So yeah, what are you going to do? The key things here, I think, is that if you're going to not give them star player access, then you want to have stacks plural, stacks for days. And I've written here that the elite skill impact is devastating. You know, they take block, they take dodge, they take guard. Jesus, they really are not going to want to take skills that are not elite skills. So already in 3 rosters, we've seen the most powerful of the 3 Amazons, not that bothered. We've seen Black Orcs, moderate, one of the weakest rosters, Bretonnians, another weak roster, devastating. It doesn't seem like it's following a very good trend. Chaos Chosen, one of my sort of secret favourite teams in the previous edition. Full team. You'll notice here that they've got a lot cheaper. So a full team is now 12 players, and it only comes in at 11.25. So this is a serious change from the previous edition. And the reason for this is the goats have got cheaper. They are now only 65k. So 12 players, 1 ogre, 4 warriors, 7 goats, 3 rerolls, and Apo. Of course, you can be silly and put the Minotaur in if you want to be more expensive, and I think that's 11.40. An acceptable team is the same one, because don't do anything else. And then a minimalist team is just playing with 11 players, although I have written 12. We'll skip over that. Star player access. So Chosen can remove the ogre and a reroll and add Borek for 11.50, or you can put Gracken Crumbleberry, who is broken, to 11.30. So be very careful with your star player access. Skill points. Again, they are still Chaos Chosen, and they still don't start with any actual skills, so you're going to be adding probably block onto the 4 warriors. That's 4 elite skills. You want to put guard on the ogre, that's 5. And we haven't even skilled a goat yet. We're going to need a ball carrier, that takes you to 6. You probably want a block something ball carrier, so let's say that's 2 skills on that goat, so we're already at 7. And then what, we're going to have 2 wrestle goats, 8, 9. So 6 there, 9, 10 with what, probably at least 1 stack, 2 stacks would be quite a lot of fun. The trick here is going to be a bit like with Bretonnians. If you give them star access, then you can't give them lots of skills. If you don't give them star access, then I think lots of skills seems very reasonable. They're still rubbish at its core. The elite skill impact in the bottom left hand corner is indeed a little devastating, so let's not have an elite skill cap on these guys. Chaos Dwarves, full team, 12 players, would you believe? A full team is 12 players, it's not, it's 13. But I thought I probably can't put 1270 and no one will believe me. So Minotaur, 2 bulls, 4 blockers, 2 flamesmiths, 3 goblins, notice no rubbish stabbers, 3 rerolls and an Apo is, would you believe it, 1230. What an absolute wild amount of team value for 12 players, 3 rerolls and an Apo. An acceptable team, I do like the Minotaur, so I have put this in. I've had to kick out the Apothecary for this, so 1180. Which is very expensive still, and it's 3 rerolls. You could take this to 1160, drop the I think a reroll is 60 in this team, so it'd be 1170 for an Apo and 2 rerolls. But given the Flamesmiths don't have blocks, the Centaurs don't have block, the Minotaurs don't have block, the Goblins don't have block, and you've got nothing to pick the ball up, 2 rerolls seems flimsy as oat, so it's probably not wise. A minimalist team is just dropping the Minotaur and saying, all right, fine, well the Minotaur's 150 I think, so let's kick him out and we'll buff this and we'll take 2 extra goblins and we'll take the Apothecary, give us a bit of redundancy. This monster is likely to get bullied by a lot of teams, but at least it's more consistent. So star player access. Chaos Dwarves are the most expensive roster in the game. One of, and unlikely to adding stars without seriously compromising the roster. Yeah, when I was trying to build star player rosters, I just basically couldn't make it work. Even if you take the Minotaur out, you are compromising the roster to the point of it not working. So you can give them stars and it won't make any difference. Yeah, that could be yes, no, and a third bracket, which just doesn't matter. Skill points, 8 or 9 skills, and I think this is about whether you allow Minotaurs in the builds or not. you're also going to want to stack on the balls, given that the break tackle skill has got a lot better all of a sudden. A strength 4 player is breaking tackle on +2. They dodge on a 4 currently, so that would give him 2+. So you're back to LRB 6 levels of bull centaur mobility. And I think stacking bulls makes a lot of sense. So what are you taking overall? Well, you're going to take a block minotaur, you're going to take 2 block bull centaurs, ideally. You're going to want to take break tackle on both of them, you're going to want to take 4 guard. So I've listed 7 elite skills, and I haven't even talked about mighty blow yet. So yeah, that they are absolutely ruined by any form of elite skill type, tax, cap, blah blah blah, right? An intrinsically weak roster being destroyed by elite skills. More on that later. Chaos Renegades, frustrating team of mine in the last edition. I really used to struggle with this. A full team at 1195. I always take the 3 big guys listed here. That's the Troll, the Rat Ogre, and the Ogre. They are the 3 correct big guys. Do not believe anyone else. I've put all the little positional players in there. Now, because the thrower has sure hands, I think, in this edition, he is now not rubbish, so I would include the thrower. So you see there, 13 players, 3 rerolls, Apo, all positionals. Boom. Let's cut out a lineman and let's take 12 players. It's a bit flimsy because the linemen don't have any defensive skills and are likely to get chipped throughout the game. So we're playing, well, 11 players plus a goblin, actually. So that's 1145. You really do want 1195. And a minimalist team value is 1120, where I am dropping the thrower and then trying to build the redundancy back in for the reroll and Apo. Star player access. I was like, what's that noise? It's my phone. Star player access. Again, a little bit like some of the other teams we've already covered. You can give them star players, but they should be either given star player access or a good number of skill points, but don't do both. So I've put quite a wide-ranging skill point bracket in there, 6 to 9. I also think that they're going to want to stack on probably 2 of the big guys for block. So you're going to take guard, block, block, or block, guard, guard on the 3 big guys. And then you're going to want to stack on the Dark Elf. And you probably want to stack on the lineman as well, because you need a block tackle piece. So that's 2 stacks, and we're taking a smattering of block and guard across the team. So the elite skill cap is horrible, and you do not want to be paying for secondaries that cost 2 skill points, because they're just overcosted at that point. And if you do that to Chaos Renegades, what they'll typically then do is go, right, fine, screw it, I'll just take guard, guard, guard across the big guys, or guard, guard, brawler, or guard, guard, juggernaut, and then they end up with lots and lots of skills. And as a TO, I think that's very difficult to balance. You know, is a person turning up with 10 skills or turning up with 6? Because it makes a humongous difference. So, you know, cost skill points, and then put secondaries in a secondary bucket. Do not put secondaries in the same bucket. Dark Elves, once my favourite team in all of Blood Bowl. Full team. So this is 12 players. We've got all the positionals pretty much, apart from only needing 1 runner. And I've had to put in 2 rerolls and an Apo. Now, that is because I'm definitely going to put leader on the runner. So it's really 3 rerolls and an Apo. So you could argue that the full team is 1165 plus 50. But I didn't think I'd get that past many people watching. So let's call it 1165, the little asterisk next to it. An acceptable team is only 11 players. But it's like 3 rerolls and an Apo, so you can play off 1150 and that's fine. But it is only 11 players, and the propensity for tackle mighty blow running around in the place at the moment is pretty wild. So we probably don't like this that much, and it's taken a serious nerf since the last edition with only 2 blodge blitzers now, and I've got to run 2 bloody assassins. So yeah, acceptable. May as well have an asterisk next to that too. Minimalist team value is just 1 assassin, not 2. We upgrade it to a lineman, and we run out with 1125 or 1130 TV. Star player access, that may as well just say no point, because star players are so bloody expensive. You're not getting them in the roster, so it doesn't matter. Skill points. Now, this one I think is worth me reading out. I've put the Dark Elf roster has changed considerably, losing 2 blitzers. Given the core positionals, we'll take 2 dodge, 1 block, and 1 wrestle, and that is the 2 blitzers and the 2 witches. If left with only 2 skills, both assassins are going to take 1 skill each. Now, that means I haven't put leader on the runner. So I've got 7 positionals and 6 skills. This is the necro dilemma. So really you want 7 skill points, really, because you know you're going to need to give them 3 rerolls and an Apo to make them reliable. And then that gives me 2 skills for the 2 assassins. Or I'm just taking 1 assassin, in which case I'm playing off 1130 TV. Ugh. The whole thing doesn't work very well. Now, they also not get much value out of hit and run from the assassins, so if you put a stack, you could let the assassin take block and dodge. The problem is that block is a general skill, and assassins don't have general skill tree access for reasons unknown to anyone but GW. So really they need 7 skills, and I'm going to try and say this with a straight face, but they need 7 skills, 6 normal, and a secondary, and a stack, please, to make them really like back to where they used to be. Yeah, probably not. I can imagine people in the comment section now going, "You are absolutely insane. I'm not taking anything you say seriously." But just try and build some Dark Elf rosters for yourself. Okay, that's all I ask. Now, this video has been recorded 6 months into the rule set being released, and I have attended 7 tournaments. Dark Elves as tournament for me have not won any tournament I've attended. They have done okay in all of them. They used to win tournaments. And it depends where you personally sit on the whole Dark Elf problem, which is, if you'd like them to be one of the strong teams again, you need to do 7 skills, secondary, stack, blah, blah, blah. If you're content with them sitting somewhere in the middle of the field, then 6 skills, 1150, fine. You'll see very few people take them, and they'll do moderately okay. This is your preference. I would like to see them do well, because I think Dark Elves doing well and being taken lots is an interesting game of Blood Bowl. Dwarves! So, full team. Now, I've put full team with a little asterisk next to it, because you'll spot here that a 12-20 team is only 11 players, and it also contains a death roller. That means it has to contain a bribe if it takes a death roller. So 2 runners, 2 blitzers, 2 slayers, and 5 longbeards, and 2 rerolls. That's not even 3 rerolls. That's insane. They are so incredibly overpriced now that it is mental. So full team is not a team you're ever going to take, because this is just rubbish. So you're going to take this team, which is the acceptable team, which is 12 players and 3 rerolls. The old dwarf roster used to have 12 players, 3 rerolls, and an Apo. So, they've become a little bit worse. Minimalist team is just 11 players with 3 rerolls and an Apo, and arguably that is possibly more reliable now. So I think that they will cope with the constraint of playing in between 1130 and 1150. Okay, you're just not going to see many people take dwarves anymore. Star player access. Dwarves have drastically increased cost in this edition, so adding a star will seriously unbalance the roster. So you can allow it if you want to, because no one will. So you may as well say NA. Skill points. The Longbeards have lost strength access on primary, and they've moved it to a secondary. So guard spam now is no longer possible. So given that guard spam is no longer possible, and they're only a strength 3 team with slow players, even mass defensive means that they struggle into pure strength teams. And I think that they're probably going to want 5 and 1, 6 and 1, because they're going to want to take at least 1 dwarf with defensive and guard. Sorry, starts with defensive, wants to take guard. I've seen in the 6 or 7 tournaments I've been to, I think I've seen 2 dwarf teams. I've not played against one. None of them have done any well. I mean, tiering them with 6 guilds is clearly not working, so they need to be given a fair chunk more. I don't think anyone's actually under-tiered them hard enough that a load of people have gone, "Oh, I'll take dwarves," and then we've actually seen them. So yeah, I think that they're going to need 7 or 8 skills probably to make them popular. Elite skill impact devastating. Yep, that's the true troll slayers are taking guard almighty blow. The 2 blitzers are the blitzers are taking probably guard, and we're taking runner, we're taking block on 1 because we've run out of good skills on the longbeards. So yeah, this is horrible for a team that is very unpopular and a bit rubbish. Elite skill impact has crippled them. So Elven Union, full team 1170, because of the bizarre thing that GW have done now, which is you're only allowed 2 of a positional. There's 12 players, 2 positional, 2 blitzers, 2 catchers, 2 throwers, 6 line elves, 3 rerolls, and an Apo is 1170. Acceptable team, we just take a thrower out. and it leaves you at 1160. Notice that both of those numbers are more than 1150. Minimalist, 1110. So I've dropped reroll, and presumably I'm going to put that in as a leader skill. So you can build them. Yeah, less than 1100 is miserable, I think, is the key takeaway here. Star player access. So they do have two interesting star players here, Eldril and Zolcath, at 1150 and 11s to take them to 1150 to 1170. So I would probably not give Elven Union star player access, because it's too easy for them to mess around with stuff and cause you problems. Now, the old Elven Union, people used to take somewhere between 3 or 4 catchers, and the catchers were really fast at move 8. They've been swapped for line elves, which are move 6, and on a team that is supposed to be all about movement and positioning, dropping 4 points of movement is a serious problem. Now, I think that means that they need to do 2 things. One, you need to be allowing line elves, both catchers need to be able to stack, so you've got 4 bludgeoning things, and you're probably going to be relying on the line elves, and the line elves probably take wrestle. So they're going to want a lot of skill points, and they're going to want to be not taxed for stacking. So I've put here 2 stacks and 7 to 9 skill points. First 2 tournaments I went to, people were exclaiming how terrible Elven Union were. I think people are starting to see a newish way to play them, which is anti-Blood Bowl, running away, using Fumblerooski to move the ball around. And I think that they are 8 skills, 2 stacks, and 1160, and they'll do okay. I don't think they're going to be suddenly a sneaky ultra power thing that people have classed in a year's time and go, wow, Elven Union are amazing. Nah. Humans, another much changed team, and a full team here is Ogre, Blitzers, Catchers, Throwers, Linemen, and a Halfling. And I've put 4 rerolls in because actually you will be dodging things around, you will be greed rerolling 1-day blocks. So screw it, 1170. They are cheap as chips, and you could drop this to 1120 by just dropping a reroll out. Or you could drop even more, and you could go underneath this, right? You could play 1 reroll and leader if you were absolutely so inclined, and that's 940 TV. So that's another one that depends, because humans do struggle to spend up to the 1150. Notice the acceptable TV is only 1120. So same thing as the Bretonnians. They've got 4 big stars: Ivar, Zug, Karla, and the monster that is Skrorg. So if they've gone 940 plus 240, you're in the sort of 1170 range for all the positionals and Skrorg. If you then imagine that the Ogre's got block, the 2 Blitzers have got guard, your 2 catchers have got dodge, and your thrower's got leader, that's 6 skills, and you've got 2 strength 5 machines on the field, that's no joke. That's going to beat up quite a few teams. So be very careful kind of how you build humans and allow them to get built. Equally, I think if they don't get given anything and they just get given 6 or 7 skills, they're going to be a team that's in the bottom of the trash bin. So yeah, not much more to talk about these other than the elite skills. Ogre's taking guard, the 2 Blitzers are taking either guard or mighty blow, the 2 catchers are definitely taking block, that's 5 skills, and a thrower's taking block, and a thrower's taking lead. That's 6 elite skills just off the top of my head. So yeah, elite skills horrible. High Elves. This video is coming out after High Elves have just been released, so I can say that a full team is confirmed as being 2 Dragon Princes, 2 White Lions, 2 Throwers, 6 Linemen, 3 rerolls, and an Apo. That's 12 players, 3 rolls Apo, and it's 1210 TV. However, that's not what anyone's been allowed to take in a tournament, so they're going to be given between 1135 and 1150. So I've basically just traded out a thrower and a reroll here, and I'm making the assumption that you will be allowed to take leader on the thrower to get you back to the required 3 rerolls. Minimalist team, it's just 11 players, not 12, so I'm just trading out another lineman. So you can notice that High Elves have got a massive amount of flex there between 1070 and 1210. That is quite a wide range of different TVs, and they'll still function broadly the same. I think acceptable team's probably the one you want to be playing though. Star player access, as with all the other elf teams, it's kind of like meh, doesn't matter. I haven't seen these played on tabletop yet. This video is too new for that. And I've written here between high elves, they have an absolute minimum of 5 skills, and that's because you're going to take 2 skills on the white lines, take 2 skills on the dragon princes, which is clearly dodge, and you're going to take leader on the thrower, that's 5. If you want to make them more flexible and more interesting, you're going to give them skills on the lineman. So you could say that's 7. That's 2 dodge, 2 wrestle, something interesting. I think they'll play really badly into Poverty Bowl, but I think they will play okay in... Well, I think they'll play more than okay. I think these are top 5. They'll play well in normal Blood Bowl. I think the correct skill... When the meta settles down, I think the correct skill choice will be 6, and I'd love it to be 7, but I think it's 6. Should you allow high elves to stack? Nope, don't need to. There's just no reason to do it. And I don't think that if you gave them stacking, I don't think they'd take it anyway, because unless you're giving them 7 skills, because the first 5 are already spent, so it's skill 6 and 7 you'll be stacking probably, which is another blodge piece, blodge lino. Notice the skill impact here, where you're taking 2 dodge, and you might take 4 dodge, so it might go from moderate up to high, but you can make the white lines take lots of different stuff. One thing that you should not be doing with the white lines, either as a TO or as a player, is giving the damn things Mighty Blow. They do have secondary access to strength. Do not fall into the trap of giving a white line Mighty Blow. So just don't do that. I'm not going to say why, just don't do it. Next one, Imperial Nobility. A full team is well north of 1200 TV, and that's 13 players. It's both throwers, because the thrower is so much better than the lineman. 3 rerolls and Apo. Notice it's 13 players there. Acceptable team is 1160. What I've done there is I've just traded straight out a reroll. And again, assuming that you can put the reroll back into the build by giving a thrower leader. You can make this work by taking out one of the throwers, and that drops you to a 1085. There is a midpoint between the two of the green and the orange and the red, which is that you keep the 2 throwers and you drop a lineman instead, which is 45 off that. So it's around like 1120, 1115, I think it is. Again, Nobility have got a massive TV window to play inside, and it depends on where you're going to position them. Star player access. As with all of the hybrid teams that we've talked about so far, you'll notice that they have the ability to get stars and put them in. Nobility are quite expensive, so unlike humans where you can put Skrog in, Nobility with Skrog, I think it's just a little bit too expensive, and I don't think you need to be worrying about it. So I think that they shouldn't be allowed star player access, because it just takes away the ability for people to do stupid stuff. As with the previous edition, Nobility are a team that want skills everywhere. You know, the 4 bodyguards all want to take guard, the 2 blitzers want to take dodge, that's 6 elite skills. The ogre wants to take guard or block, that's 7 elite skills. The thrower wants a skill, that's 8 skills. So, you know, absolutely crushingly painful sticking the elite skill tax or elite skill anything into this roster. Khorne, literally my favourite team out there last edition. Well, second favourite, I suppose. Full team, 1200 TV. That's only 12 players, 3 reels and an Apo, and it's all the positionals. The acceptable team is the full team. Do not get suckered into thinking that it's anything other than that. I wouldn't play Khorne unless you give me 1200 TV. And as I'll cover in a second, that's not going to happen. Minimalist team value is 1150, and that's 11 players, 4 rerolls, 3 rerolls, 4 linemen. Now, would I give Khorne star player access? They've lost 2 Khorne Gores, and I'm actually not going to talk about star players. I'm going to gripe about how GW have basically ruined Khorne in this edition. Khorne are a strength team. That means they're a bash team. They fight. That means they have to have either the same number of players as your opponent or more. Having to field 4 what are effectively hobgoblins with frenzy, it's too easy to kill them, and anyone who's any good will find the linemen and just kill them, pick them off, hit them, they bang. They're not even good ball carriers particularly, so what on earth, why are they AV8 plus without thick skull? I mean, why are they just not AV9 plus? I don't know. I think Khorne are one of the 3 or 4 weakest teams now in Blood Bowl. It's a real shame because I absolutely love Khorne. But yeah, back to the point, star players don't care, it doesn't matter, team's ruined. Skill points, give them as many as you possibly can, and it still won't make any difference. They're still a terrible team. but let's just run through it anyway. The big guy needs to take block. The 4 Seekers only take block. That's 5 block. So a 4 limit skill cap breaks them already. 2 Corn Gores, you would like to stack on them. Probably 2 guard, because you're going to need to take some guard to fight. And then you're going to want to take more block. Although you could take wrestle on the lineman, but you need to put skills on the lineman. We need to be able to fight, so we probably need a block mighty blow on a Seeker. So they want stacks. But they're just a bit fooked. So, meh. Lizardmen. So for the 2nd edition running, Lizardmen got more expensive and were already super expensive. So a full team is 12 players, 2 rerolls and an Apo. I mean, a full team is actually 3 rerolls, but they're so expensive. I think that takes them to 12.50. An acceptable team is 12 players, 1 reroll Apo, and they are taking a secondary for leader. Sorry, they're taking a Chameleon Skin leader, which kind of means that they're going to want to take 6 or even 7 skill points now. Because if you give them 6 skill points, that's no longer the straight 6 Blocksaurus, it's 5 Blocksaurus and a leader. Or they don't take the Apo, and they need to be 11.50. They're in a really weird situation at the moment. Yes, they got given Juggernaut. I think what they needed was not Juggernaut, but to be made cheaper. The design space for Lizardmen is all over the flipping place, and I think they need to be taken absolutely back to the drawing board, scrapped, and started again, and recosted. And I think that you could do interesting things with them. I know in Lizardmen lore, you've got different types of Lizardmen units, so if you wanted to take that, why have they still got 6 Saurus? Why don't we have some Saurus blockers, which maybe they start with block, maybe, and some Saurus blitzers. That would be interesting, and you could play around with the costings, and I think you could do something quite interesting with the Lizardmen team. They are a team that is absolutely ripe for being rewritten, and until they are rewritten, they're just too expensive. Necro, my actual favourite team. A full team is 12 players, 3 rerolls and an Apo with all the positionals. Beautiful. So, in old edition money, 11.50 would now be all of the team. That used to cost 11.95. An acceptable team is 11.15 or 11.20. And basically what we've done there is we've dropped a ghoul, we've still kept the 3 rerolls and the 12 players. So, yeah, 11.20. You would drop a zombie if you absolutely had to, so you can play slightly south of 1100, but you don't want to. You want to be playing 12 players. The zombies get chipped. You can't rely on regen. You're adding too much variance into the game. So the absolute floor for Necro, for me, is 11.15. Star player access. Given the cost of star players in this team, stars, you can't get them in. Otherwise, you have to start dropping positionals. Skill points, there is only one number, that is 7. It is 7. Do not give them 6. Do not give them 8. It is 7. And so therefore the correct roster rule set is 11, 20 and 7 skills. The only reason you would go up from that is if you're giving everyone else lots of stuff, but it is 11, 20 and 7. Don't give them a stack, because if you give them a stack, you've got to give them an 8 skill. Nah, just don't do it. They only take block and guard, so elite skill impact would be absolutely completely destructive to the point where people wouldn't play them, I think. So, meh. Norse. Last edition on tabletop, I was completely undefeated with Norse after playing about 25 games, so I'm quite pleased with that little statistic. And a full team, it's not this, but this is a full team just on the basis of building a full team. So it's 14 players, troll on all the positionals, 3 rerolls and Apo. More commonly, you would see this, and the 1150 build is the correct one. So it's 14 players, 1150. 3 rerolls and an Apo. Minimalist team, you could drop a pig maybe. Don't be fooled though into thinking that you can drop more normal players, because although you've got 14 people, you've only got 12 plus 2 pigs. And when you want to be playing, when you're playing Norse, you want to be putting one of the pigs on the field at all times. So it's 10 plus 1, and that means you've actually got a bench of linemen. If you get used to not playing a pig, you're doing it wrong, because you're now I've got 2 pigs on the bench. Oops, or I've got a lineman and 2 pigs on the bench. Star player access. So because you can really mess with it, they've got leader access. The rerolls are quite expensive. I've written here, the roster can be heavily trimmed to get Borax, Skylar or Grakin. Star players should not advised, so don't give them star player access. Norse have not changed from the previous edition. the common held balance was 1150 and 6 or 6+1 with a stack. And I think that's probably where they're at now. In early stats, Norse are in the mid to low 40 win rate percent. 40, yeah, so 43, 44% win rate. And I think that's because we're now seeing more Orcs with the double mighty blow. And if anything, not because the roster has got worse, but because everything around them has changed and Norse are not playing well into the meta, I think that I would give them 7+1, which is actually slightly different to what I've written here, and they need a stack. And I would give them 1150 cash. And I think I'd like to see what that then does to them, and can we nudge them back to 50% win rate. I don't think that that would be enough to take them above 50% win rate. But yeah, they're just not attractive to play in the current edition, so all the good players are looking elsewhere. And I think that's what's pulling their win rate down. Nurgle, a fundamentally changed team from the new into the new edition. We've got a full team at 1140. Notice this is cheaper than 1150, which is wild. Rotspawn, 4 bloaters, 2 pesties. Only got 2 pesties now, 6 rotters and 3 rerolls. You could play this with 5 rotters, which takes you down to 1100. Or you can play it with 4 rotters, which is only 11 players, 1160. You want to be playing off the minimum TV of 1100. And I don't think that you can put a star in without having to drop either a bloater or a pestigore. So I don't think it's a good idea to do that. So just don't give people the access. And skill points, we're going to take guard on the beast. We're going to want to take 4 block. That's 5. We're going to take skills on both pestigores. That's 6, 7. Off. Yeah, 6, 7. You're going to want to maybe take an 8th skill and allow a stack maybe. These are a solid tier 2, tier 3 team now. OWA. World champion OWA. A full team is 1170, which is 12 players, 3 rerolls and an Apo, and I've put a Hobbit in there for throwing stuff. That's all the positionals. You can absolutely play this with a tree instead of an ogre, and the tree is actually better because it doesn't currently come with loner, which I swear is GW's oversight. I mean, why hasn't a big guy got loner? I don't know, we'll give the best team in the game a big guy without loner. Really. 3 rerolls and an Apo, so that's the correct build. If you're ever going to a tournament with 1150, the one that I've got there in orange, that is the correct build. You can make them cheaper. You can drop out a reroll. So yeah. Star player access. I think I must have messed that costing up because I don't think rerolls cost 80. Star player access. No, do not give them star players. And as I've written there, there's an incredible number of ways to build OWA. So just take that option away from them. As the roster has apparently lost loner, it doesn't need star players as well. Skill points, the correct number is 6. It's not 5, it's not 4, it's not 7, it's not 9. It is 6. Specifically 6. That's tree gets guard. I mean, this is so boring. Tree gets guard. Blitzer gets mighty blow. Troll Slayer and Dwarf Blitzer get guard. That's 4. The thrower gets leader, and the catcher gets block. They are the correct skills in the correct order on the correct players. Do not take anything else. Do not pass go. Do not clutch $200. Yeah, OWA are in a terrible place design point from GW because they don't build very well. They don't take other skills. It's just this is such poor game design. I think OWA are rubbish. The elite skill impact is absolutely devastating. So we've seen it hit some really weak teams. We've now seen it hit probably the strongest team. Yeah, don't put an OWA skill tax, an elite skill tax into OWA. Orcs. So Orcs used to have 4 big uns and 4 blitzers. Now they only have 2 big uns and 2 blitzers. And you, with 13 players, the whole thing, including a troll, is 1145. That's 3 rerolls and an Apo, and the Apo isn't absolutely needed now, I think. So 1150 for absolutely everything. You can make this team at a less than 1100 with 12 players. All I've just dropped there is a line orc. The minimalist team value is, what have I done there? Oh yeah, trimmed out a thrower and trimmed out a thrower. So it's okay. Star players. Now, because you can make this roster really cheap, because you can put leader into a reroll, you can make orcs give Orcs the ability to access star players that they probably otherwise don't need to access. When I was building them, a lot of the stars are just slightly north of 200k, which is just a little bit, you're going to one reroll or one reroll on leader, which is a bit light, or one reroll, no Apo, no leader. So I don't think that's a good idea. The skill points, Orcs are doing really well in the first 6 months of this edition, and I think that's because they're doing really well at bullying, specifically OWA. They play really badly into Lizardmen, which also bully OWA. So I think they probably want 7 skill points, as I've written here. I see a lot of tournaments give them 6, and then Lizardmen take the piss out of them. So I think that they want 7. I also have written no stacking. I don't think stacking would actually be that much of a problem. So I think you could allow stacking. I don't think you need to, but in a vacuum, Orcs with stacking, yeah, why not? 1 stack, why not? And I think it's 7 skills. Elite skill impact, let's just run through the skills. Troll takes guard, big uns both take block, Blitzer takes guard, a Blitzer takes tackle, alignment takes guard. Oh look, that's 6 elite skills, so that'd be horrible. And there aren't even other skills you could take. Skaven, another team that's fundamentally been gutted and rewritten. Full team, 13 players. Now only get 2 gutter runners, but you get 3 rerolls and Apo and 13 players. It's gonna be fine. An acceptable team, I've just dropped a thrower and turned it into a clan rat. So that's 1130. So you notice that's below the normal 1150 cut. And a minimalist team, you could drop a reroll on top of that. So you would be running at 1180. Sorry, 1080. Star player access, because again, you can drop another reroll out of that, and you could drop a clan rat, and you could drop the apothecary. You can go way lower than what I've written on the screen there. Therefore, they have the ability to put a star player in. I've written there, Glart is a specific concern. Glart, I think, is 195, 185. You can definitely trim 200k out of this and put Glart in here. So don't do that. Do not allow them star player access. Skill points. When I wrote this slide, I think the answer was 7. I think you could only give them 6 now. I think 7 with a stack is interesting. And as people are finding or thinking Skaven are ruined, which I don't think is the case, then I think giving them 7 on a stack suddenly will then people take them, and I think you'll actually get a good balance. You'll get a good understanding of where they actually sit in the balance tree if you allow 7 and a stack to start with. And I think you'll end up with 6 and a stack is probably the right thing, right place. The elite skill impact is, pretty horrible. Undead, one of the power 4 in the old edition. Full team, 1080. That's because they've only got access to 2 ghouls now, so they've got 13 players, and they're just sorry. You could also play off 12 players because you could drop a zombie, or you could play off 5 zombies. So that's 930 with 2 rerolls. That means that star players. So when they're talking about bare bones with undead, I think that, as I've written here, Gretchen at 180 all the way up to Karina at 230. Based on the fact that they are 930, you are probably going to want to put a star player into undead. They are a bit wretched, and although their win rate hasn't tanked heavily below 50%, I think the enjoyment for playing them is seriously diminished with only 2 ghouls. GW need to give us back another. They need another positional, or they need to go back to 4 ghouls, because you've traded 2 ghouls for 2 zombies. The speed on the roster now has tanked, and I think they are seriously uninteresting to play. I have actually played them in a tournament in this edition, and I will not play them again in this edition. I think they're just a waste of time. Skill points I've written there is between 4 and 7, and that's because if you're giving them star player access, they probably only want 4. You've also got to be very careful if you give them secondary skills, because 2 block mummies is quite a lot of firepower. So just bear that in mind. I would allow stacking, yes. Don't think it matters. I think I just don't want to talk about them. Boring. Moving on. Tomb Kings, a new team, and the full team costs 1140. 4 Tomb Guardians, 2 Blitzers, 2 Throws, 5 Skeletons, 3 rerolls. Very nice. 1140. You can play this off 1100 flat. That's quite a nice number to be, 1100 flat, with 12 players. I think they probably do want the 13th player, because Skeletons will get chipped. You will do fouling. You're going to want 13 players. If you want to go for something absolutely wild, you could take a thrower out and take 2 rerolls out. And I think I've done what I've actually talked about in previous ones, where I've gone, right, the actual minimalist is 915. And the 915 is the idea that you're going to give them a star player. Star player access, again, bare bones. I've kind of copy pasted this across from the undead. Be very careful allowing them star player access, and I think the answer is not just depends, I think it's straight no. Skill points, if you don't give them star players, you're going to want to give them 8 skill points. If you are giving them star players, yeah, more fool you, but they probably only want to have 5. A stack, you're probably going to want tackle mighty blow on a blitzer, so I would allow stacks. And the elite skill impact is guard, mighty blow, block, tackle, guard or tackle or mighty blow. 7 elite skills. It's just horrendous. Underworld, anti-Blood Bowl at its finest. So the full team is 950 because the team's so cheap, and that's because you actually spend it on inducements. A minimalist team value is 975, and therefore this team is so incredibly cheap, and you can build it in so many different ways. I didn't try. Basically, just don't allow stars, and this team takes care of itself. If you allow stars, then people will find edges and they will piss you off. So star player access depends. Nah, it's just a no. That's just a no. Just don't do it. Vampires. So vampires have fundamentally changed to a 3+ hypno flat, and I think that therefore you're more likely to be in base contact more often because the hypnos are going to try and then not work. So I think you're going to want to allow people to take the 1190 version of this, which is 14 players, all 6 vampires, 8 thralls, 3 rerolls, and an apo. And you could even argue that they're going to want to take a 4-3 roll because they're going to want to skill the throwers up properly. That there is just taking a thrall out to 1150. So they will play to 1150, but I don't think you'll get many people play them at 1150 because 13 players when you kill your own team is a little bit light. Minimalist team value, I don't think that's true. Since I wrote this slide, I think I've actually made a mistake here. So in production, I think the Varg is actually now a player that you probably want to put into this team. I can't do the mental arithmetic on the fly, but I think that they're going to want to take a Varg somewhere to give themselves a little bit of punch. Star player access, nope. Correct skill points, I think it's 6. I think actually again, because I think that my viewpoint since I wrote this slide, which was several months ago to now, is that although that they haven't changed particularly edition to edition, the 3+ hypno is going to mean that they are more vulnerable to getting punched, and therefore I think they probably want to put a skill on a thrall so they can constantly be blitzing with them. Wood Elves, a team that always seems to get worse. Everyone says they're ruined, and then by the end of the edition people think they're broken again. So full tream, 1170, that's 11 players, 3 rerolls and an apo with all the positionals apart from any one thrower. 1150 is a absolute sweet spot for them. That's a tree with 3 rerolls and an apo. The tree is the cost of the apo, so you could play around with it if you don't want to put the tree in, but I think the tree is a good idea. Minimalist team value is 1165. Star player access, nope. You won't want to put them in because it will wreck the roster stability. They're also no good stars anyway. Skill points, I've written around 6. I think 6 was the correct value in the previous edition, and I think it's probably 6 now. Let's just run through them. Something on a tree, something on both war dancers, something on both catchers, something on the thrower. Thanks very much. If you want to take something off the tree and then off the thrower, that gives you 4. You can put 2 skills on the lineman. You could say 7 because OWA are a thing and Wood Elves get smashed to pieces by OWA. So yeah, maybe 7, 6, 7. I've done it again, sorry. Elite skill impact, moderate. 3 of the 6 skills are usually taken are elite. Yep. Right, now I'm going to run through the stunty teams. I forced myself to do this, so we're going to do it really quickly. So Gnomes, full team, 1080. Acceptable team, 990. Star player team, 890. Star player access. When reviewing star player access for Gnomes, they fall into 2 categories: rubbish stars and stars that are too powerful. There are only one notable exception, run below. I think this means that I would not allow stars for Gnomes currently until GW are capable of balancing stars. Good luck. Grombrindal was the other exception, but inexplicitly his once paternity moved to once per game, so he's now trash. Yeah, I mean, in the UK, we never saw Grombrindal pretty much taken hardly ever. So we've taken his once per turn, that thing you could do 16 times, and like, no. Once now. One time. Oh. Huh? I don't know who did that decision. I mean, I don't know what they've been drinking or smoking that day, but it's clearly, Grombrindel, something that definitely needed nerfing. I think secondary might be considered, but we'll likely ignore their players. So you've got to go either you've got to allow secondaries and you've got to price them at 1 skill point, or you've just got to accept that they're going to take dodge spam. That means that if you allow them dodge spam and then hit them with an elite skill tax, people will not play this team. So you've got to allow them stacking, and you're going to accept they're going to take dodge and guard. Otherwise, these people are not going to play them. Snotlings, another team that has been drastically changed in the new edition, and I actually think that Snotlings GW got this one right. And Snotlings are much more fun now. So full team's 1170. I'm not going to read all that out there, but you'll notice I've baked in some inducements into this one: 2 bribes, a rookie, and a dodgy ref. 1100. I have dropped. What have I dropped there? Oh, a reroll. And the star player team. So you can get Skitter Stab in there, and I've highlighted Skitter in capitals because he's an absolute menace. Snotling's biggest problem in New Edition is scoring. So giving them access to a gutter runner suddenly fixes one of their inherent weaknesses, and therefore 1160 is probably the sweet spot. And if you give them star player access, they will take it and they will do horrible things to you. I would give them star access though. The fact that the pump wagons have lost secret weapon and the loner is not on the trolls anymore, I think they're really interesting. Notice I've just written there that bombers have got worse. Bombers are way worse than they were before. So it's not all smooth sailing for Snotlings, but they are a lot better. So skill points between 6 with stars and 9 without stars. Skitter Stab is easily worth 3 skill points. And I've just highlighted, summing that up. Are you allowing Skitter or not? Yeah or nay? Goblins. I'm not really qualified to talk about Goblins. So I'm just going to flash it up on the screen. You can read that in your own time leisure. Halflings, we can sum them up by saying that they are basically the worst team in Blood Bowl now, and the reason for that is where I've written star player access. Their star player access is absolutely in a bit of a mess. They've got access to 2 different leagues. Some of the good stars are in one side, some of the good stars are in the other side, because GW inexplicably has split the star player access up, and Halflings are always a team that take 2 stars. What? So I think that they need to be put all into one pot, literally a hot pot maybe, and they need to be allowed to take stars out of multiple pots. You can give Halflings as many skills as you like, because their skill access is so dire. I don't think it matters, and Halflings are the worst team in the game. Oh no, hang on, I haven't managed ogres. Ogres, creating ogre teams was miserable in general. They were too expensive to create a balanced team with a star. Yes, they were rubbish. I'm famously not enjoying stunty teams, and doing the stunty versions of this was painful. So, team building observations with a big red box. Number 1, teams build to team values with over 100 points of swing between the top and the bottom teams. Teams typically use between 6 and 9 skills. Some teams got a huge boost, get a huge boost from a star player. Some teams have been hurt considerably with a drop in positionals. The impact of elite skill caps impacts some teams far more than others. My dog is just about to jump away. There we go. So, the big red box. Therefore, given that all teams want different amounts of cash and skills, imposing a flat blanket approach is going to impact each team disproportionately, creating clear winners and clear losers. Bear that in mind. Do not create flat rule sets. The elite skill cap also impacts some teams far more than others, and is not in a way that matches the inherent power of the teams. Some weak teams are hit hard, some strong teams are not hit at all. It achieves little more than applying an additional layer of constraint. If I'm being polite, it's poorly thought out and should be ignored. If I wasn't being polite, I'd say something would get this video demonetized. So, what I'm going to do now is take all the stuff that we've just done, and you can see on this slide, this is the skills per team. So, not including stunty in this because it didn't fit, you can see that there's 6, 7, 8, and 9. So 7 and 8 were the most common. Some team takes 6, one team takes 9. Team value, taking a full team, you'll see the big swing here. So Underworld can cope with about 1,000 TV, and some of the teams at the other end are north of 1200 TV. But that's not what we're going to be building a rule set around. We should be building it around this, which is an acceptable team value. So I think it's worth just pausing on this slide for a second. And what you can see here, and I think you're going to be able to see my mouse for the first time in ages, you've got a bunch of teams that are around the 1150 mark here. You've got 4 teams that are over 1150, even taking the acceptable version. And you've got a bunch of teams that sit around the 1100. So you could almost say that this lot are 1100, this lot is 1130, this lot is 1150, and this lot is 1200. 4 TV points? Let's just overlay team value and skills over the top of one another, and you'll see that team value and skill, the graph is showing you that if you want 6 skills, sometimes you want 1150 team value, sometimes you want 1100 team value. So skills and team value it's not linked. The yellow block, which is that some teams want 6 and some teams take 8. Again, team value isn't the consistent delimiter. So if you put everyone into 1106 and then take everyone else and put them in 1150 and 8, some teams are going to be, oh, that's a lot of cash. I don't know what I'm going to do with it. Or where's my other 2 skills? It's showing that there isn't a 1-1 relationship. So therefore, I created this, ladies and gentlemen. This is the rule set that you could try and use. So it's a table view version. And you can see here that I have broadly grouped everything into 1100. And then because you do want different numbers of skills, it's sorted on team value here. So these are all the non-stunty teams, and then these ones are all the stunty teams. I've applied a skill tax for star players because I think that you can then say, well, you get, let's say, for example, Curse Chosen, they get 8 skills, but if you give them a star player, then they only get 5 skills. So it's actually 2 rule sets in one, which I quite like. Stacking, one thing I haven't put into this table is that they are allowed, sometimes you might want to allow 2 stacks, sometimes you may want to allow 1. And secondary access, just to be absolutely clear, is a secondary access based on 1 skill point, not on 2. The stunty teams, I kind of give them a load of team value and give them stacking. The star access at 3. Now there is another way of displaying this, which is in a grid. And grids are starting to become a little bit more popular. Now, I can't tell you which one I think I prefer. The grid view, it's easy to read, right? It's less easy to find your team. So in the first version, I could scroll down and I could find my team pretty quickly. But in this version, once I found my team, it's pretty easy to go, like Dark Elves are 11, 30 and 7. Gotcha. But it doesn't give you the same level of control though as stacking and star players, because ultimately you have to give them star players or not. I think I prefer table view. I think it's a slightly better way to write a rule set, but grid view, it works. So, just to conclude the video, I thought I'd write up some notes while I was making the video, doing the artwork for the video. And this is just kind of my thoughts. And I'm going to come back to these in about a year's time and see how well they age. So, and if you're watching this video in 2027, please leave a comment and tell me whether I've got it right or wrong. So first of all, OWA are more powerful than people thought. How powerful? Very difficult to say because people keep under-tiering them. But they also do very badly into lizards and orcs, which was not what people initially thought. Necro are struggling into the Mighty Blow and defensive spam that's taken over the meta. So I've taken Necro at the beginning. I might be wrong on this one, but I think Necro are struggling into a meta that is lizardmen, orcs, and OWA. I don't think they do well in all of those matchups particularly. So it's a bit of a problem. Skaven, people claimed that they were dead before the rule set came out. I think you need to adjust your playstyle now. The movement 8 blitzers with strip ball are immense. Just give them break tackle and you are away. Humans also not dead. In fact, are actually broken if you allow them to have a star. So don't allow a star. Orcs, they are very good into the hybrid teams. They aren't the big green bash wall that they used to be. You actually have to play them with a break tackle. So just bear that in mind. And yes, they still suck into lizardmen. That is official. Bretonnians, they are rubbish. Why on earth do they exist? What? I mean, in the last box set we had Black Orcs, which was shit. In the new box set we've got Bretonnians, which are shit. Why? Why can't you make decent teams? Dwarves, They are interesting, bad, but interesting. They also need agility 3 back on the blitzers and a huge cost reduction. Elves. Couldn't not talk about elves here. So, wood elves, yeah, they're okay. Dark elves, they are definitely worse than before, and I think, although people are going to play them at 6 skill points, I think they need 7. Pro elves are absolutely atrocious, and I rewrote this one because high elves are actually very, very good. I think you'll see high elves be played an awful lot. And I've written there, even if they do only have 5 players. Yeah, it's Lineman Bowl. That's what 2025 is. Elite skills as a concept was okay, however its implementation and balanced design by GW is laughably bad. Yep, the whole level up system needs a complete rework. Block and guard could be split, question mark. So, yeah, it's weird. GW have gone, yeah, that's a bit too strong. I know, what we'll do is we'll just acknowledge it. Well, why don't you do something about it? You write the fucking rules. What? So, yeah, I think elite skills, the whole level up system's garbage. The Blood Bowl 2 level up system, which was LRB 6, that was good, where you roll dice and you got interesting random players. The 2025 edition, I think because redrafting progression is a thing, you're just going to see people go tall with stats. It's going to be boring. You still can't just buy 1 box to get a full team. So the reason for implementation has failed. Yep. I also think it's reduced the team variety and possibilities overall. And bear in mind that throwers are typically one of the positionals, and there are positional with inverted commas around them because so if you've only got 3 positional types, like with high elves, you're not taking 2 throwers, so you've only got 5 players and you've got 7 linemen. It also means, I think, that losing a positional when it gets chipped, either KO'd or killed, both in league play and tournament play, it just makes the power dynamics shift even harder, and I don't like that. I like the losing players to have a smaller impact, not a dramatic impact. Secure the ball. That's a great idea. The rulebook. Anyone thought of proofreading it? Ever? Maybe? Possibly? Why not? It's got so many errors. It's got so many poorly written passages. They even said the rulebook would get a load better. It hasn't. It's woeful. Also, I've written literally also, why isn't it an online living document like in 40k? We're in 2026, not 1985. GW, if you can manage to make the 40k rulebook go online, how about Blood Bowl? How about we make the rulebook online for there too? I mean, it'd also fit with Warhammer Blood Bowl. And final point, the very final point in this video. AndyDavo, hates Poverty Bowl. Stop writing Poverty Bowl rule sets. I'm looking at you, Europe. Now, I don't know how this video is going to age. I hope you're going to find it interesting, whether you attend tournaments or write tournament rule sets. It's been an interesting one to make. Thank you very much indeed for watching. Hopefully, you will go away and leave some comments in the section below, and I'll try and respond to all of you about everything. I've been AndyDavo. This has been fun. I'll see you in the next video. Thank you and bye for now.